redox. When we talk about redox signaling molecules, these are compounds that your body makes every single day within the mitochondria of your cells. Your cells cannot function without receiving signals to tell them to do that certain function. And so our ability to respond to stress, to maintain our health and wellness, is dependent almost entirely upon.
I just wanted to start this episode with a message of thanks. Thank you to everyone that chooses to listen to this podcast. By doing this, you're enabling me to reach more people so that they might learn how to unchain the pain to live a healthier, happier life. The feedback that I get from those that take action and are inspired by the show's content is incredibly rewarding. So I'd like to ask you a teeny tiny favour. You are truly able to change the course of this podcast, the types of guests I have on this show, and everything that I do by doing one simple thing. And that is simply hitting the subscribing button. The guests on this podcast are incredible because so many of you have hit that button. When I think of what I want to do this year on this show, this is fueled by the amount of you that subscribe, that tune in, and that comment on the show's content. So please keep subscribing, keep commenting. Any type of comment, please keep them coming, and keep sharing the shows that you find inspiring. I can't wait to see what this year brings for this show, for you, for my community, and for this platform. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Brain Health, Unchaining Your Pain. I am really excited and honoured to have the wonderful Hunter Dean on the show. Welcome to the show, Hunter.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. And for those that don't know Hunter, he is the Senior Vice President of R&D and Product Operations at ASEA, which, full disclaimer, I'm an associate at ASEA, and I am super excited to learn more from you about the R&D work that you've been doing, your latest product launches, and really to better understand the science behind redox signaling technology. But before we start and dive into the fascinating topic of redox, I'd love to know, what are you passionate about in life right now?
I am passionate about learning new things. I'm a lifelong learner, whether that be my hobbies, whether that be education, whether that be at work. I'm currently studying in my MBA program at the University of Utah. I'm really enjoying kind of shifting my education from my chemical engineering background more to the business strategy and analytics side. Something that's been really great for me here at ASEA as I kind of continue to shift in my role. So that's something that I'm passionate about right now is learning more about business and expanding my educational background.
Do you know, I love learning, and my background is a PhD in physics, and I thought my learning was kind of done when I finished university because I was like so saturated with learning, but I so missed it. I kind of like put a big pause to it, and it's so important, isn't it, to continuously learn and develop, because that's helps us grow and helps our businesses grow. So with that, I'm super excited to dive in to all the learning that you and the company ASEA have done on redox signaling technology. And I would love to know if you could explain to the layperson out there what is redox signaling technology?
Yeah. So ASEA has been in the business of redox for 15 years now. And there's really kind of been a groundswell of redox excitement in the scientific community. You see conventions coming together all around the world to talk about redox. But really, when you think about the word redox, I always kind of foundationally lay this out as what is redox, right? It's reduction and oxidation. It's the transfer of an electron from one species to another. Well, what's an electron? It's a negatively charged particle that goes around the atom or molecule, and a lot of energy is contained in these electrons. And so really it's the method with which energy is transferred in the body. So that's redox. When we talk about redox signaling molecules, these are compounds that your body makes every single day within the mitochondria of your cells. Your cells cannot function without receiving signals to tell them to do that certain function. And so our ability to respond to stress, to maintain our health and wellness, is dependent almost entirely upon our cells' ability to communicate. These cells that communicate with each other use redox signaling molecules as the signal. I often say kind of this flow of signals happen because of these high energy molecules that act as the carriers. So these redox signaling molecules can be thought of as tiny high energy molecules. Again, these are made within the mitochondria of the cell. Because they're tiny, they can be absorbed into the cell where they can donate their energy to create a signal. That signal cascades throughout the cellular network and enhances our ability to respond to stress and other stimulus that we're exposed to. And this is where our overall health and wellness is maintained and enhanced when properly leveraged using our redox signaling technology.
And for the kids out there, because I love to explain this to my daughter Lily, who's 6, could you just explain what mitochondria is and what its role is in our cells and why redox is so fundamental to that whole process?
Yeah, certainly. So in school, we learn mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's where all of the energy is created. And your cells, in order to continue to work, they need energy. And that's where this mitochondria comes in, is it provides that energy at the cellular level.
Yeah, I love that. And I think there's an awful lot of interest, isn't there, in the medical community nowadays is to shifting into mitochondrial health or metabolic health. So what is the role that redox plays in, firstly, mitochondrial health? Why is it so important? Why are redox molecules so important for mitochondrial health?
Yeah, well, redox is really at the center of mitochondrial health. This may be on the technical side, but if you look at the Krebs cycle, right? Anybody
Yeah.
who's taken a biology class at university has heard the word the Krebs cycle and probably has nightmares about the exam that they had to do on the Krebs cycle. But the Krebs cycle is that cycle that generates the energy, generates ATP, which is
Yeah.
the cellular currency for energy. That cycle is literally a cycle of redox. It's the transfer of an electron down this stair step at different energy levels to create different processes that lead to ATP generation. And so the entire cellular metabolic function, this energy generation, is dependent upon redox chemistry. And so it's at the very center of life.
Yeah. Do you know, I find that fascinating because I first learnt about redox through Jamie Thompson, who came on the show on episode 75. And I just found it fascinating that redox is the center for mitochondrial health and for our energy powerhouses in our cells. So they're batteries that run everything in our body. Yet so few people, so few scientists, so few medical professionals talk about the role of redox in the context of mitochondrial health. What do you think? Why do you think that is? Because we tend to talk about, supplements and omega-3 and NAD and all sorts of, new and wonderful supplements, but nobody talks about the communication mechanism or the communication network that's necessary for us to actually live and function.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. Is if this is so central to our health and wellness, why is it not talked about more?
Yeah.
Um, and and perhaps my view on it's a little unique in that I am employed and work for a company that's really what we focus on. But I think that in the medical community, in the health and wellness industry, there's been really little possible in the way of product and modalities
Mm-hmm.
to influence at that level, to influence at the mitochondria, the cellular metabolic level,
Mm-hmm.
because redox signaling molecules have been highly unstable to this point. And so there haven't been products or modalities to be able to influence performance at that level. We've only been capable in the scientific community of playing downstream of that. You talk about NAD, you talk about supplements, you talk about these other modalities that play downstream of metabolic function.
Hmm.
That's probably why it hasn't really hit mainstream yet, is that there hasn't been a widespread availability of technologies capable of playing at that cellular metabolic function level.
Yeah, I love that. And I had Dr. Nathan Bryan on the show, and he talked about the importance of nitric oxide, and he has products that have been developed to look at the role of the redox molecule nitric oxide. Could you just explain, give people a history around how redox was discovered, where it was discovered, what function it had, particularly nitric oxide, if you're willing to, and how that influences all the different systems in our body when we talk about redox as a whole?
Yeah, certainly. So there are many different species of redox signaling
Mhm.
molecules, right? Again, if you go back to the definition of redox is the transfer of an electron or the transfer of energy. So
Mhm.
anything molecularly that's capable of transferring an electron in the body could be theoretically seen as a redox signaling molecule. And nitric oxide is certainly one of those. In fact, redox signaling molecules, this concept of redox in chemistry has been widely understood and studied for about 100 years. You can go back to papers on redox in the early 1900s, some as early as the late 1800s.
Mhm.
But really, where the rubber met the road for redox and health and wellness was in 1998, when the Nobel Prize was awarded for the recognition of nitric oxide and its role as a redox signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system,
Mhm.
right? Nitric oxide was essential to cardiovascular performance, which is why you see a lot of products out there utilizing nitric oxide to boost cardiovascular performance, vasodilation, things like that, that are all known benefits of nitric oxide, which has now been recognized as, since 1998 in the Nobel Prize, a redox signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system. Where we like to point out is that this is only one species of many redox signaling
Yeah.
molecules at work in the body. But certainly that was kind of where, if you look at PubMed, you can go in and you can look at, if you type in redox as a keyword in PubMed and you look at the number of studies that contain that word, there is a drastic spike post 1998 after that Nobel Prize because people began to realize its importance in health and wellness.
I did check PubMed the other day, although it's not come up on my notes, but I think it was over 20,000 articles on PubMed, so way over 20,000 that relate to redox. So it's a hugely growing field, isn't it? And I know there's lots of universities around the world that are really taking a super interest in redox. But I'd love to know if you could explain what is the difference between the redox that you use in your products, how you've generated it, and just like the normal supplements that are out there on the market? What differentiates redox from all of the other supplements?
Sure. Yeah, that's a question we get pretty often. And it's important to distinguish the two. So in order to create our redox signaling molecules, we use an ultra pure water and a pharmaceutical grade salt, sodium chloride. It's called USP grade salt, US Pharmacopoeia. We then put it through a patented electrochemical process where we form new bonds at higher energy levels than what would have existed in just dissolved salt water,
Mhm.
right? And because this electrochemical process mimics which happens in the mitochondria, and you're using the same basic ingredients that the mitochondria has available, sodium, chloride, hydrogen, oxygen, you end up forming the same species of redox signaling molecules that are made within the mitochondria that are used as these signal carriers throughout many different genetic pathways in the body. So this is really kind of the key technology behind the redox signaling molecules that ASEA makes. The exact species and distribution of those species in our products is held as trade secret and is protected by several patents. But that's kind of the core technology. And the reason that it's such a breakthrough is that these tiny high energy molecules are extremely fleeting. Any molecule that is high in energy, right? It has a lot of energy stored
Mhm.
within its bonds, is generally highly reactive. And that's definitely the case with these redox species. Once they're made within the mitochondria of the cell, they're used up and disappear almost instantaneously. They signal and then they're gone. And so where the breakthrough of ASEA is not that we can necessarily create these molecules. In fact, methods to create these have been kind of played with over the last several decades.
Mhm.
The breakthrough of the technology is being able to stabilize these redox signaling molecules so that they can be used in supplementation form. And
Okay.
so you're using redox signaling molecules in the very same way that your body does. In fact, they're bioidentical to what is being made in the body. And so the body knows exactly how to put them to work. This is different than traditional supplementation. Traditional supplementation, say B12,
Mhm.
right? There are certain receptors, there are certain lock and key mechanisms that B12 has to engage in order to stimulate certain pathways. And so there's a bioavailability concept, there's a digestion concept. It has to be broken into smaller molecules. And that's really where traditional supplementation differs from this redox technology. You're really playing upstream as high as possible when you're supplementing with redox signaling molecules.
I think the other thing that I also found really insightful on this, and I think that's fascinating, that the difference between the bioavailability, but also that the redox is your communication messenger, like your 999 or 911, when you call the fire brigade or the ambulance. Whereas the nutrients or the supplements that we take or the drugs that we take are like your fire brigade if you're talking about omega-3 versus the ASEA product, which is focusing on the fact that you're enhancing your communication network within at a cellular level, and then not only at a cellular level but between cells, which then is allowing the appropriate transfer of information to happen to reach to put the fire out, as it were, wherever it needs to be put out. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's a really good analogy. Redox signaling molecules are like the phone calling the fire department to come. Your other supplements or even the food that you eat are providing the material to fight the fire, right? But if it's
Yeah.
not called for initially, there is no way to fight the fire. The other analogy I use is if you're building a building, the traditional supplements and the food you eat are the raw materials to build the building.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have no communication between the workers and the architect or the engineers,
Yeah.
the efficiency and the ability for those workers to be able to build the building correctly and to build the building efficiently breaks down.
Yeah.
And which is why this product is so interesting, is because in the health and wellness, I kind of watch companies, right, in the health and wellness sector, and I look at their marketing and I look at their message and I take a look at their technology, and there's a lot of my product is better than this product, or my
Mm-hmm.
product is more pure than that product. There's a lot of competition out there. And
Yeah.
what's so interesting about ASEA is we don't have to compete because our product works synergistically with just about everything out there because
Yeah.
it's enhancing the cell's ability to utilize the other modalities and treatments that people are using.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I think when I first learned about ASEA redox signaling and actually the redox signaling process, I love the fact that it changes over time. I wondered if you can explain that to people, how our redox levels fluctuate in our body depending on a whole host of factors.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's this concept of homeostasis, and specifically
Yeah.
redox homeostasis or balance, right? Redox balance. It's interesting because really this concept of stress has taken front stage in health and wellness, right? Oxidative stress, all of these different stressors we're exposed to. Your body's ability to respond to stress in today's day and age is central to your health and wellness.
Yeah.
And its ability to get back into balance is how it responds to stress. I believe today, and I don't think it's any question, that we are under more physiological stress today as human beings than our species ever has been for as
Mhm.
long as it's been on this planet.
Mhm.
Between the processed foods, the contamination from packaging, from radioactivity, from pollution, poor sleep, high stress, diet, exercise, or lack thereof,
Mhm.
our bodies are under attack every single day.
Mhm.
And so its ability to respond to that attack and get back into balance is absolutely essential.
Mhm.
And one of the major things that your body does to respond to stress is utilize redox signaling molecules as signals to respond to that stress and get back into center.
Mhm.
Now, you're never permanently in balance, right? You're always being knocked off center, and your ability to respond to that and get back to center through redox signaling is what allows you to spend more time in the center, which is why you're never perfectly in balance and your redox levels are kind of varying constantly because it's dependent upon the environment that you find yourself in and the things
Mhm.
that you are exposed to on a daily period.
Mhm. And I'd love to know, just to explore the stressors. When we talk about redox working in our body, are there any cellular areas that it doesn't work? And I don't know the answer to this, but it's not just your heart, it's every cell, isn't it, that it works in. So
Yeah, any cell that contains a mitochondria is going to benefit from an enhanced redox signaling capability,
yeah.
right? Any cell that utilizes the redox signaling compounds, which is any cell that has a mitochondria, is going to be largely benefited by enhancing the cell's ability to signal with more redox signaling molecules.
Mhm. And how do your levels change as you age? Because I know you've done a lot of studies on Renew 28, which is your gel product that's got a redox signaling molecules in a gel form, which is a topical application. How has that product demonstrated changes when it's been used as a function of time, and also as noting how our redox levels change as we age?
Yeah. So as we age, our own natural ability to produce redox signaling molecules decreases.
Hmm.
And many are familiar with the copy paper, put it on the copier, copy the copy, copy the copy's copy, and then
Hmm.
the final product ends up being very different than the original.
Hmm.
A cell's ability to copy itself and proliferate itself, as long as it's able to do that more effectively, you effectively slow or stop aging.
Hmm.
A cell's ability to copy itself is dependent upon what resources it has to it and how many redox signaling molecules are signaling it, telling it how to create that copy and to
Hmm.
proliferate itself and to multiply at a cellular level.
It's like,
So
hello,
that
I've got some stuff to help make me better, and it's like, okay,
Yep.
come on
Yeah,
in.
exactly. Exactly. So you see this aging and our bodies break down because these copies of cells are not perfect. And
Yeah.
it really accelerates when we begin to have less and less of these redox signaling molecules at advanced ages.
Hmm.
And so being able to restore redox signaling molecules through supplementation, for example, you brought up Renew 28. You see
Hmm.
it in people's faces. When people begin to
Yeah.
use this, you see wrinkle reduction, you see elasticity improve, you see a reduction in redness, you see pore size decrease. And again, it's enhancing that cellular turnover case of Renew 28, which is why we call it Renew 28, 28-day cell
28.
turnover. Redox signaling molecules enhance the cell's ability to recreate itself and kind of turn back the clock, if you will.
And you call it like it's an anti-aging, isn't it? Because it
Yeah,
facilitates that cell rejuvenation and cellular connection. And I think the other thing that I find fascinating about this product, which is why my daughter Lily loves it so much, is when she uses Renew 28, unlike anything else on the market, when she has a problem, she can apply it herself. So it's like we have TCP, or there's all sorts of other products on the market that you put and they can really hurt. But the amazing thing about Renew 28 is that we have it in our first aid kit because it's just the go-to because she can self-help, which I think is
sure.
is amazing for kids as well. It's always go get some ASEA, mummy. I need some ASEA.
Yeah. And this concept of self-help is not just amazing for children. While it is amazing for kids, it's important for everybody.
Yeah, right.
We're in a geoeconomic space right now where people are going to begin living longer, but healthcare becomes more and more expensive by the year. It becomes harder and harder to find good food. It's really, really important to build a resilient body. And a
Yeah.
body with more redox signaling molecules is more resilient to these stressors that we talked about a little bit earlier. And so this concept of self-help, I think, is really important.
Yeah. And you know what? I think what I find amazing, and we presented the product at IPM Congress 2 years ago, and we're back this year to present it again at a medical congress, is that it can provide immediate relief. And it depends on everybody, but the immediacy of relief is what have witnessed with people that have come and tried the product. I could, just find astounding. I wonder if you could explain more around the Renew 28 product, and then I'd love to dive. I'm going to ask a few more questions that are a bit playing devil's advocate or being the naysayer before we dive
Sure.
into the new product, if that's okay.
Yeah, certainly. So your body has I refer to it as an inner doctor, right?
Yeah,
It has all of the pathways and knows how to act in order to take care of itself and recover
yeah.
how it needs to and really rejuvenate its cells the way that it needs to. The problem is a breakdown of signaling. It's a breakdown of communication. If there is no communication, your body cannot use the processes and the pathways that it already has within its genetic code because there is no signal.
Hmm.
Renew 28 and the ASEA Redox supplement we call our core technology
Hmm.
works in a broad spectrum way. And what I mean by that is these redox signaling molecules are capable of playing across many genetic pathways
Hmm.
that lead to relief, recovery, metabolic function, cardiovascular health. There's a lot of benefits that come when you're able to play across a broad spectrum of genetic pathways. Some of those pathways where they play, amidst all of them,
Hmm.
have to do specifically with relief and recovery, right?
Hmm.
Alleviate discomfort. Everybody out there has discomfort in some form or fashion. And so this is a huge group of people that we're talking to here.
Yeah.
Renew 28 and the ASEA Redox supplement, our core technology, are capable of stimulating recovery pathways. In fact, we did research with the University of Bath and then the University of Western Sydney in Australia. And both of those studies found that the core technology of redox signaling molecules significantly upregulates the NRF2 pathway, which is an antioxidant pathway, a recovery and a relief pathway. So this is one of many pathways, again, of a broad spectrum technology. But when
Mm.
you're able to stimulate something like the NRF2 pathway, you're enabling your body's inner doctor to really make sure that it is recovering the way that it needs to, and it has all of the communication and all of the signaling to do so effectively.
Mhm. Do you know, I really love that the concept of the inner doctor, because we often think that when we use a medicine or when we use anything that's out there on the market, it's the enablers that are necessary to allow our inner doctor to work effectively. It's like putting a plaster on a wound. Plaster doesn't do anything. It just protects it whilst your inner doctor gets to work. So before we dive into the inner doctor and how your new product that's coming out, has come out actually, is so focused on the NRF2 pathway, could you just, we talked about Renew 28 and a gel topical application. Could you just explain to people who don't know what the ASEA Redox supplement is, what that is, please, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, certainly. So within our core technology, there are two primary products. We've talked about the Renew 28, which is a gel, a topical gel that contains redox signaling molecules. We also offer a liquid, an ingestible liquid, a beverage that contains the same redox signaling molecules. And in fact, that was the very first product that the company had developed. It was only a few years after the development of that original product that Renew 28, the topical, was
Mm-hmm.
created. And so they are the same redox signaling molecules with slightly different modes of application. You have the ingestible, which is working from the inside, and then you have the topical, which is working from the outside. Again, as we mentioned, every cell that has a mitochondria in it can benefit from supplementation of redox signaling molecules. And so having two methods of introduction into the body, both being internal and external, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I really want to dive into the ASEA supplement because this is where I got super interested in the capability of ASEA's products. Is the fact that it gets to work straight away as soon as it goes into your mouth. It starts being absorbed through your cells in your mouth, doesn't it? And then you get a cascade effect, like turning on the light switch. I wondered if you can explain how it works when you are ingesting it, how the redox gets into your cells and how it travels throughout the body for those that are unfamiliar with the way the system works.
Yeah, certainly. So, let me start with traditional supplementation. There's generally a digestion, then there's an absorption, and then it goes to work post-digestion. You're having to take these big macromolecules, digest them down, and then those smaller molecules go to work and hit certain receptors in the body. ASEA's technology differs in that it doesn't work through digestion, it works through absorption.
Mm-hmm.
These molecules are extremely tiny, and therefore can be absorbed directly into the cells. In fact, with the ASEA Redox supplement, we recommend that people swish with it for 15 to 30 seconds before they swallow it, because the mouth is particularly good at absorbing compounds, which is why they have sublingual medications, right? Is because the mouth is really good at absorbing. And so these tiny molecules are readily absorbed into the cell. And because they're high energy, they donate this energy to the cell to create the signal. Once that cell signal is turned on, that cell begins to communicate to the cells around it. Those cells communicate to the cells around them, and you have this expanding cascade effect, right? And it's this cascade effect that contributes to our overall health and wellness through that signaling pathway throughout the entire cellular network, if you will.
I love that. And for those that are the naysayers or the disbelievers, and they say, "Oh, Hunter, it's just super expensive, or it's expensive salt water. It's just salt water." What would you say to that? Because there's a lot of people that, if you do your Google search, because obviously Google is the go-to of medical information, which, by the way, it is not. You get a lot of naysayers pop up and say it's just salt water.
And you know what? For the record, I'm somewhat empathetic to that claim. In fact, when I was first starting here, I'm naturally skeptical, right? My background's chemical engineering. I'm a skeptic, and so I came in and looked at this company. I said, "Salt water from Salt Lake City, Utah. That's a fun story." And so I get it. What I would say is immediately, there are some really simple ways of knowing whether it's just salt water. First off, taste it, right? Like there's a very different taste to this product than normal salt water. The other thing is redox signaling is well studied. It's well documented. There is no pseudoscience here. ASEA commits itself to conducting all of its studies with third-party labs, third-party university studies. In fact, the NRF2 one that I talked about not too long ago was specifically done in the UK and in Australia by third-party partners. We had nothing to do with it as far as conducting the experiments. We partner with a lab in Spain which specializes in redox, called BQC. They test our products every single quarter to ensure the presence of redox signaling molecules. You'll notice on every single bottle of ASEA, we have the BQC logo. We could not put that there if there was not a certified presence of redox signaling molecules in the bottle. And so we expend a lot of resource making sure that we're doing everything above board and that everything is validated through third party. Every single product that we make, every lot is tested by third parties to validate the quality and the efficacy and the purity of the products that we make.
I love that. And I just want to dive into some personal stories just quickly on ASEA, because I got super interested in ASEA, not just for me, just to, see because I'm interested in brain health, whether it would enhance my brain health, but more for my family actually. And I think this is where most people start, to see if it could help family members who are struggling with discomfort and seeking some relief. And my mother was struggling with severe back discomfort, and she started taking the ASEA supplement. And it was just the standard dose. She didn't want to take any more. But within a week, she noticed improvement in her sleep. And over the course of, she experienced some severe health conditions, which included her. This is not to say ASEA did anything, but she experienced some serious health conditions associated with her heart, and ended up having to go into hospital. And if it wasn't for ASEA, when all of this was happening, the discomfort that she was experiencing, that she gained relief from in her arm and in her back, would have made her very disabled, because she wouldn't have had the relief that she gained from using the ASEA supplement over that period of time. And she hadn't had any relief before that. So that was super fascinating. Of course, that's one case study. And then the other one, which is a naysayer, which happens to be my husband, he was experiencing some discomfort in his mouth. He'd been to see his dentist, and the dentist was giving him all sorts of stuff to do, and an awful lot of cost to him to try and get some resolution for some long-term dental discomfort. And I said to him, I know you don't believe in it, but just do me a favour and try a ASEA supplement, and let's see if it does anything for you. And he just, like, as people do, kind of ignores me. And then all went quiet. And then I stopped hearing the kind of complaining and moaning of the discomfort that he had experienced. And I said, have you done anything, different? Has anything changed since we last talked? Because you're not complaining about the discomfort with your teeth and everything. He said, I started taking a ASEA supplement. And he takes it every day now, because it's eliminated years and years of discomfort that the dentist wasn't able to resolve. So I'm super grateful. And obviously this is another case study, but there are many case studies, aren't there, out there, in terms of people experiencing discomfort. They've tried everything under the hood, nothing has worked. They've tried ASEA, and sometimes they have to try it for quite a period of time, but they then see transformation happening with regards to the relief that they experience, or the discomfort that reduces. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, certainly. And I don't think your husband's experience is unique. We have thousands of people every single month writing in saying, "Oh my gosh, I had such an amazing experience with this." And quite frankly, many of them started as skeptics, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't believe in this at all, but I had nowhere else to turn, and I tried it, and wow, I wish I would have started it sooner. ASEA has distributed millions and millions of bottles of the ASEA Redox supplement in the 15 years that it has been in business. And I've seen lives change in this
Yeah.
product. It's absolutely amazing, the benefit to be had if you leverage redox signaling technology
Mm.
for your own health and wellness.
Yeah, I love that. And I'd love to dive into the latest breakthrough, because this is so fascinating. So we started talking about, you can tell I'm a science geek, can't you? We started talking about mitochondrial health and the energy, which are the energy powerhouses, and the importance of electron transfer to do the cascade effect in order for us to get energy into the rest of our body from our mitochondria, and all of the energy transfer that happens across our cells and within our cells. But your new product is mega interesting and very unique, because it's very targeted. I wonder if you could explain, because we go right down another level, don't we, with the latest product launch?
Yeah, certainly. So the newest product that we launched just this last month, and in fact is available in Europe this week, and Asia the week thereafter, is called Redox Gold. Redox Gold represents for ASEA the first step into what we're calling the next generation of redox. We kind of had this conversation about broad spectrum, right?
Hmm.
These redox signaling molecules play a role in just about every function in the body at the genetic level. I like to think of health and wellness as a beautiful musical piece, right? In order to maintain your health and wellness, your body is playing notes, melodies, chords all together to create this musical piece that is your health and wellness.
Hmm.
And these are all different genetic pathways with different functions, right? Are these keys on the keyboard of the piano? And if our ASEA redox supplement and Renew 28, what we call our core technology, our first generation technology, are capable of playing across the entire keyboard, what we wanted to do was develop a product that utilizes redox signaling molecules that was capable of taking all of that redox potential, all of that energy stored within redox signaling molecules, and put them all into just a few keys.
Hmm.
The reason we began this research is what we found was while some people were taking the products just because they wanted a foundational boost to their health and wellness, there were very many people who were coming to ASEA with a very specific challenge. Your
Hmm.
husband, for instance, right, had a very specific thing that he wanted help with. And so they're taking these broad spectrum products, and yes, they are seeing benefits because they're broad spectrum. But what if we could provide a boosted effect in the specific areas where people need help using the same redox technology? And that's what we mean when we say the next generation of redox. We mean that
Hmm.
these redox products in the next generation line are targeted in their effect rather than being broad spectrum.
Hmm.
And so how we achieve that with Redox Gold is by using 24 karat micro gold particles as catalysts for these redox signaling molecules. The redox signaling molecules are focused in their employment of their energy in the presence of gold. There's a concept of activation energy in biology and chemistry where in order for a reaction to proceed, you have to provide enough energy in order for that reaction to start.
Hmm.
How a catalyst works is it decreases the amount of energy necessary for that reaction to proceed. You decrease what's called the activation energy.
Hmm.
And this is the same type of thing at the genetic level. If you can decrease the activation energy necessary for a reaction to proceed and a gene to be transcribed and therefore expressed, you express that gene more often.
Hmm.
And it just so happens that within our research, we found that gold was able to decrease the activation energy of recovery and relief pathways like NRF2.
Hmm.
And so what this effectively does is it takes all of this redox signaling molecule potential and it focuses it into a few very important relief and recovery pathways, targeting it with pinpoint accuracy to provide that recovery and relief.
Hmm. I love that. And for those people that might say, oh, well, you can use, I think it's NAD, although I might be wrong, I'm not a supplement specialist, that helps the NRF2 pathway. How is this different to the supplements that are out there that, and I know we talked about this earlier, that target that particular pathway, but from a physical nutrient perspective, how is this different to the supplements that try and target that pathway?
Yeah, so NAD is an effective product. There are lots of important products out there that are beneficial. The difference here is you're stimulating your body's own natural pathway in the
Mm.
way that it naturally would. You're not putting foreign compounds in there to try and biohack a pathway or anything like that. Additionally, because these redox signaling molecules are native to the body, automodulation occurs, meaning the NRF2 pathway is stimulated to the amount that it needs to be
Ah,
in order to address the challenge,
okay,
right? And which is really important, right? Because overexpression of NRF2 can have its own challenges, right?
right.
And so automodulation is really important. Additionally, there are some other pathways, but really what you're doing here is you're stimulating again your body's own inner doctor in these specific
Mm.
pathways to address the challenges and the benefits that you're trying to achieve.
Now, I know there's people out there who I've also interviewed who'll go, but gold, you shouldn't be putting gold in your body. What are you talking about? How is this non-toxic? Can you explain that?
Yeah, certainly. So there's a real concern out there again with packaging and our food and
Yeah,
contamination of heavy metals. First, gold is different than heavy metals, right? You have cadmium, nickel, lead, arsenic. These are all toxins that have a reputation for being really bad for your health, and it's true they are.
yeah.
Gold is not in that category, but additionally, the particle size that we use of the gold is large enough where it is not absorbed into the cell. So there's no bioaccumulation risk.
Hmm.
And so that's really how we avoid that challenge at all. The other thing with gold is I know many people are familiar with colloidal silver. And
Hmm.
then if you take too much of that, there's an accumulation risk and it'll actually turn blue in
Hmm.
certain areas of the body. That's not the case with gold. The bioaccumulation rate is much smaller for gold than it is something like colloidal silver. And then you layer on top of that the large particle size that we're using. It is not a nanomaterial by any means, and that's done intentionally to make sure that there's no accumulation. Now, that's not to say that some people may need to consider the use of this product, especially those with a gold allergy.
Hmm.
That does exist, right? It's very rare, but there are people who have gold allergies. If you have a gold allergy, you should not use this product because it contains 24 karat pure gold. But aside from a gold allergy, there is no risk to toxicity or bioaccumulation because of the particle size and the purity of the product that we're using.
And what have you noticed with this new product that is different to Renew 28? So how does it differ in its its application and also the relief that it offers compared to the Renew 28 product, which is also in a gel form, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. So, first off, the relief is much quicker and it's much
Mm.
more powerful. And this is quite simply because we have formulated this product from the ground up to focus all of that redox signaling potential to relief and recovery.
Hmm.
We've had story after story after story of customers who have been longtime users of Renew 28
Hmm.
that have helped them with discomfort in certain areas, but they haven't seen relief in really their most problematic areas,
Hmm.
are seeing relief with this product.
Hmm.
Um, Really, really amazing to see. The other important distinction is that when you take all of this potential and play in specific relief and recovery pathways, there's a distinction between relief and recovery.
Hmm.
Relief is masking discomfort, right? You no longer feel the discomfort that you were feeling before. Recovery is accelerating those rejuvenative, restorative pathways, waking up the inner doctor. And that's really where gold excels, is in that recovery aspect. There are many products out there. Some go hot, then cold. Some have some odors to them. They're greasy. There's a burning sensation. There's a lot of products out there that mask discomfort or provide relief. But
Hmm.
there are very few products out there that effectively enhance recovery at the cellular level. And there's not a single product out there that enhances recovery utilizing the same redox signaling molecules that your body would to accelerate those restorative pathways.
Amazing. And I know you've done some studies on this because you talked about this when I was on the call yesterday on the glutathione changes. So I know for those that are not familiar with glutathione, can you explain why glutathione is so important and what you have noticed between healthy cells and compromised cells when you utilize this product?
Yeah, so glutathione is an important antioxidant protective protein. I tell people they can think of glutathione like a bodyguard for your cells.
Mm.
It helps to protect against oxidative stress. And cells that are unprotected from stress really have a hard time recovering, right?
Hmm.
And getting back into that homeostasis that we were talking about, that balance. And so what we did with the University of Western Sydney and University of Bath is we did a series of studies to look at glutathione levels before and after treatment with the Redox Gold product. And what we found in healthy cells the healthy cells that were exposed to the product, the glutathione levels increased 70%, which is
Amazing.
absolutely massive when you talk about glutathione and its ability to kind of act as a bodyguard for the cell.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what was really especially compelling about these studies was when we treated healthy cells with a glutathione production blocker called BSO.
Hmm.
This blocks the cell's ability to create its own glutathione. So glutathione plummets. Um, the cells treated with the BSO were exhibiting levels of glutathione that were about 20% of baseline, right? Being 1 or 100% of healthy baseline.
Hmm.
When treated with Redox Gold, these compromised cells, glutathione levels rose 280%. This 280% increase brought the glutathione levels to 98% of healthy baseline, within
Amazing.
2% of pre-blocking with BSO. To me, that tells the recovery story. You're taking a compromised cell and you're restoring its ability to produce its own glutathione and effectively respond to stress and take care of itself,
Hmm.
right? Through its own natural, rejuvenative, restorative pathways.
And that's like super activating the sleepy internal doctor, waking them up and giving them a shot of caffeine so that they go, so that they go and do the work super effectively and get your cells on the path to recovery.
Yeah, certainly. And to give people an idea of the magnitude of this increase, the researchers at the universities gave us a call one morning and said, "Hey, we found something unique with this product. In fact, it was so unique we thought something with our method was wrong. So we repeated the product or the test 9 times to make sure that these results were correct. I know you paid us for 3 iterations of the study for statistical significance sake. We're not going to bill you for this because we felt like we were doing something wrong. But after 9 iterations of this study, we can confirm that these numbers are correct." And so it
Wow.
was such a high number that even the researchers at the university were kind of astounded and almost in disbelief of the result.
Yeah. I mean, it's so fascinating, and the results are so astonishing that the field of mitochondrial health and metabolic health, cellular health, for every organism on the body, kind of gets blown open, doesn't it? And really, really, it's a really exciting time. I'm just so excited because I love science for exploring the synergy. And you talked about this earlier on, the synergy between the products that you use and all of the other products that we have out there on the marketplace that facilitate relief and recovery, and how they can work synergistically like a symbiotic relationship, like we talk in biology, to support rapid relief.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's amazing. And I know we've talked a lot now, and I never even got to ask you the question I normally ask guests at the beginning of the podcast. But I'd love to know for you, given everything we've talked about and all of the discussions around redox, what does optimal brain health mean for you personally? When we're thinking about our brain and how our brain functions, what would it mean for you in the context of everything you've learned? There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah. I think optimal brain health for me is probably represented best by this concept of resilience, whether that be physiological or
Yeah,
whether that be even at an emotional, spiritual, or mental level, to be able to
yeah,
overcome adversity in all of its forms. I think the brain is probably the single most important aspect of overcoming adversity in life. And so maintaining brain health to maximize our ability to overcome adversity in all forms,
yeah,
I think is really important.
yeah. And it's super exciting the role that ASEA's redox technology can play in that, because of its ability to enhance relief and recovery, and build that internal resilience with your internal doctor to help you overcome whatever challenges you may have at a cellular level and also a global body level as well. I'd love to. I'd love to know, how can people get hold of this product and learn more about the redox technology that we talked about. What's the best way for people to learn more about your breakthrough product, about all the products you have? And I know we've only touched on a couple because you have more in your product suite, but specifically the redox technology that you've produced, that's really game changer?
Yeah, so first I'd point them off to our website, ASEAglobal.com. We also have associates all around the world who distribute this product for us that are amazing sources of information and have amazing stories of the people that they've helped with this amazing technology. So if you know somebody who is an associate who is working with us to distribute these products, please speak with them. They're going to be your best source of information and are going to be able to give you personalized information about what you're trying to do for you and your body. But if you want to just read up more on our technology, about the company, where we've been, where we're going, the website, ASEAglobal.com is the best option for that.
And I'll put the link in. And what would advice, because I know we've touched across a whole heap of topics, but what advice, and I'm going to focus on two specific people types, what advice would you give to any medical professionals who are interested in this product? What advice would you give to them for their patients for whatever reason?
I would tell them to start looking for the synergies that could be had between this technology and the modalities that they're using to treat their patients. Again, we talked about, because this works at the cellular and genetic level upstream of a lot of other modalities, there's a lot of synergies to be had between this technology and a lot of those other modalities. And so they should look into those synergies and how they can employ it in their practice. We see huge synergistic benefits when practitioners look to employ this technology in that way.
Okay, that's amazing. And there's so many great stories from medical professionals who've been cynics and turned and fallen in love with Redox and ASEA's products. So there's loads of stories out there on YouTube that people can look up as well. And then in terms of like people like myself, the Joe Public, who are really interested in the product, we'll start with that function and how it could be used for either personal use or family use.
Yeah, I would say jump in and use it.
Yeah.
There are so many things that you're going to notice the benefits just by using it every single day. These are completely non-toxic, non-mutagenic, safe products for your family. We take great pride in going through just about every effort that you could to make sure that these products are as pure and safe as possible. And so just start using them. You're going to see the benefits, and you're gonna kind of catch on fire and be really excited about this technology and want to share it because it's absolutely amazing.
And I know we just talk on the last one, which is people who are interested in growing a business and want to become business partners with ASEA. What advice would you give to them? Obviously, they can reach out to me or to anyone else who's an associate, but what would be your like key advice for them? Because obviously you offer a business package for people who want to grow their own business and also become part of the ASEA family.
Yeah, I would say don't feel like you have to be an expert on redox in order to be successful in a business with ASEA. In fact, the most successful people with these products are those who simply use them and share them. They do not have to be doctors. They don't have to be scientists. These products are extremely powerful, especially the new product Redox Gold. It's never been easier to share Redox products and its benefits with this next generation technology of Redox Gold. Don't feel like you have to be an expert by any means in order to be successful in sharing this technology. We have a ton of tools, a ton of resources, so many people willing to step in and help and make sure that you find success in sharing this amazing technology with those that you care about.
Yeah, and I honestly, for me personally, I found it fascinating, and the transformation that I've seen with it, within my own family, just first and foremost, and then also with clients that I work with, has been phenomenal. So I'm super grateful for the innovation that ASEA have done, and for your time, Hunter, for coming on the show. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and sharing your knowledge and educating us all about the power of redox signaling molecules and the transformation that it can make to people's health and relief and recovery. It's been just fascinating. I'm super appreciative of your time.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Remember, this show is all about brain health, unchaining your pain. You're not stuck with the brain you have. You have the power to make it better. And Hunter Dean has kindly been here to talk about the power of ASEA redox signaling to help us with relief and recovery. Thank you so much.
Thanks.